Now, this is how you question and challenge Donald Trump's picks. Democratic senators in the U.S. Senate questioned Donald Trump's choices for key jobs in the federal government. Let me show you what happened. You have Democratic Senator Merkley questioning Trump's choice for Deputy White House Budget Director Hal Duncan. Watch what happened here. Let's watch this clip.
2020 election was rigged.
I believe that Joe Biden was certified as the winner of the 2020 election.
He was certified, yes. But do you believe the election outcome was rigged?
Senator, I appreciate the question. As mentioned, I believe that Joe Biden was certified as the winner of the 2020 election.
Okay. Duly noted that you're not responding to the question.
Then Democratic Senator Tim Kaine made the point even clearer. Let's watch it.
Was the 2024 presidential election rigged?
Senator, President Trump won the 2024 presidential election.
Yeah, folks, how about that? So he was asked twice, was the 2020 presidential election rigged? And he said President Biden was certified to be the winner. He wouldn't answer the question. Saying President Biden was certified as the winner of that election is like saying today is Tuesday, June 16. I mean, it's a fact. But he wouldn't acknowledge that President Biden won that race. Now, there's only one of two reasons, Mr. Duncan. You have either fallen victim to the conspiracy mindset that says that that election was rigged. And if you're a conspiracy theorist, you shouldn't be let anywhere near the position you've been nominated for. Or, President Biden won the election, but you're afraid of making an insecure president mad by acknowledging that fact. You answered so easily when I asked you the question about 2024. You didn't fight, you didn't evade, you didn't obscure, you didn't try to end run. You said President Trump won the election, which he did. He won the popular vote. He won the Electoral College. The answer was just as simple about 2020. The fact that you were unable to give the simple answer about 2020 raises real serious questions about you.
Then we move on to Democratic Senator Blumenthal, who was questioning one of Donald Trump's picks about the same kinds of questions. Here, let's play this clip right here.
Yes.
So let me test your independence. Who won the 2020 election?
Joe Biden as certified by the Senate?
No, Mr. Bartholomew. Who won the 2020 election? We have seen that script. By the way, you should check with the White House. That script has been abandoned. They have a new one.
Oh. Well, my understanding from the 2020 election is we had an election.
And
Joe
who won
Biden
it?
Joe Biden was certified the winner of that election. That is a fact.
Who won the popular vote?
From what I recall in reporting at the time, that was Joe Biden.
And who won the Electoral College in the 2020 election?
Again, my recollection, and he served as president, Joe Biden would have been certified the winner of the Electoral College vote as well.
Did you discuss your answers to these questions with the White House before coming here today?
No.
Let me ask you, was the Capitol attacked on January 6th?
I don't know if I would use the term attacked. I mean, we had activity outside the Capitol, protests and such, and there was violence on the Capitol grounds.
You have to be now the author of the most obvious understatement that there was activity outside the Capitol on January 6th. Was it attacked? You've seen the videos. You're supposed to be the Inspector General. Capitol Police were injured. Some died. Was the Capitol attacked?
So again, it's more a term that you're using, attacked. There was protest activity. There was violence on Capitol grounds. Those people were prosecuted.
Well, there was protest activity?
There was protest activity. People went to the Capitol grounds. People entered the Capitol building, which is contrary, as far as I know, to law.
But you wouldn't agree with me that the Capitol was attacked?
I just don't agree with the term attack. When I think of attack,
Were police officers attacked on that day?
There was physical violence outside the Capitol that day.
But the Capitol Police weren't attacked?
So
what is it about that word that so troubles you?
It's not that I'm troubled by it. The term attack to me seems to imply like there was a coordinated effort to attack specific things.
Let me ask you.
There was physical violence associated with protests.
I regard these kinds of questions as a test of your prospective independence. And so far, I think you're failing that test.
Okay.
And I hope my colleagues will agree that the Inspector General of the Department of Justice should recognize reality and facts for what they are.
Yes. And going back to Hal Duncan now for a moment. Let me show you as Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen questioned Hal Duncan right here on a very important issue. Let's watch it.
You're aware of the fact that the IRS has warned that this year's tax season was at risk due to staffing shortages. Are you aware of that fact?
Senator, obviously, we're trying to.
I'm just asking you if you're aware of that fact, that they warned that this year's tax season efficiency was at risk because of staffing shortages. Are you
Senator,
not aware of that?
I'm not aware of the exact item you're referring to. I'm happy to take a look at it if it's in front of you.
Yeah.
But obviously, everything that we are doing is toward a commitment for efficiency for the American people.
Well, in fact, you've had to rehire people who were fired at the IRS. That doesn't sound like it's more efficient to me. The same is true at FEMA. FEMA reinstated fire disaster response personnel ahead of the hurricane season because they were unprepared. Were you aware of that fact?
Senator, I'm not aware of this specific thing. That would be a FEMA related item that I've been.
A lot of this, of course, feeds up through the OMB. Same is true of the National Weather Service. GSA cited staffing shortages on mission critical needs. Were you aware of that?
I'd have to defer to the National Weather Service.
In fact, by early this year, an estimated 25,000 federal employees have been rehired after being initially terminated. Do you know how much that's cost the taxpayer rehiring the same people who were in the job before?
Senator, I don't have an estimate in front of me, but we're always working to optimize staffing levels.
Well, I have an estimate from the Partnership for Public Service. They're a nonpartisan entity. They say just that process of having to go through rehiring the same people that were fired cost the taxpayer $12 million. That doesn't sound more efficient to me. Mr. Duncan, your boss at OMB, Director Vogt, has said, quote, "When civil servants wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains." He went on to say, and I quote, "We want to put them in trauma," unquote. Do you see merit-based civil servants as the villains?
Senator, first, Director Vogt has addressed that quote multiple times in this committee.
I'm asking you what you believe. Do you believe civil servants are the villains?
As I mentioned in my testimony, I think the OMB civil servants, who are the ones I work most closely with, as well as Director Vogt, who has a wonderful relationship with those civil servants, are among the best and brightest in the federal government.
Excellent. So you don't want to put them in trauma, do you?
Senator, that quote you're referring to, Director Vogt has addressed, is related to certain bureaucracies in the federal government.
It's just a question for you, not for Mr. Vogt. Do you want to put federal employees in trauma? Yes or no?
Senator, you're directly
I'm asking
referring
what
to
your view is. Do you think it's a good idea to put federal employees in trauma?
I work very well with the civil servants at OMB. The quote that you're referring to was a reference to weaponized bureaucracies.
Mr. Duncan, I'm asking you right now what your view is. Do you want to put federal employees into trauma? Yes or no?
Senator, like I said, I completely support the civil servants that work at OMB. And that quote that you're referring to has been taken out of context.
I was
and
asking
been addressed
you
by the director up here.
So it's interesting you don't want to provide a direct answer.
Let me show you what the questioning looked like when Democratic Senator Slotkin talked about how the Trump administration officials are politicizing where budget funds go for disaster relief. For research, they are stealing it from blue states and they are not providing critical funding. And how Duncan would be someone responsible for doing that. And he seems in lockstep with that plan. Watch this questioning right here. Let's watch it.
I want to ask to Mr. Duncan, you've had an interesting couple of days up here on the Hill, made some news, gone viral a couple of times. I just feel like this idea that to get a federal grant, the rules have been rewritten so that you can reject any organization that represents, quote, anti-American values, and anyone who, quote, damages the reputation of the government. So you're going to be in an important position of power. You want the big job. You answer the big questions. If a university that was receiving federal dollars for a research grant into cancer, but they allowed a protest, a peaceful protest of the Iran war on their campus, would that be, quote, damaging to the reputation of the government?
Senator, I appreciate the question. As you know, with 2 CFR, it's signed off by all 41 agencies.
Right, but in your mind, you're asking to be a decision maker, right? So I understand there's a chain. I was a federal government employee for a long time, but you're up here for Senate confirmation, so it's a big job. Is a protest, a First Amendment peaceful protest on a college campus threaten the federal dollars that they are getting for cancer research under the rules that you will be enforcing? Yes or no?
Senator, you're asking a hypothetical question, but I would note that this
we have protests. We do. I mean, I have University of Michigan and Michigan State. There are protests from time to time, that's for sure. So it's not hypothetical. This is something that literally in 15, 20 days you could be dealing with. Is a First Amendment protest on a college campus enough to be, quote, anti-American or threatening the reputation of this administration?
In the hypothetical question that you're asking related to grants for cancer research, this administration is committed to gold standard science and wants to advance the best cancer research that we possibly can.
Okay, so if they can have a protest on their campus, and I would just say slashing cancer research and slashing our science institutions around the country, and making us have to be literally 1/10 of the medical research that's going on in like places like China and Europe is not a way to uphold a gold standard for cancer research. And I say that for a woman who's, got cancer in her family. If a domestic violence shelter receives a federal grant, but they also post complaints about this administration's cutting of domestic violence funding, will that put them at risk of being labeled anti-American or threatening the reputation of this administration?
Senator, again, you're asking hypothetical questions. The ultimate deciders of these grants will be the political employees at the agencies. I would imagine in this situation, it would likely be HHS.
The political employees? The political appointees like yourself?
The political appointees. OMB does not issue grants. We issue guidance, uniform guidance on grants. So I would not make decisions on a specific grant.
But if someone calls you, I mean, again, this is like, you can't want the big job, but then not answer the big questions. I think the idea that First Amendment activities would be, quote, anti-American or threatening the reputation of this administration, you understand that you're creating a climate of fear around things that are actually, it's the opposite of anti-American. It's the most American thing in the world, the First Amendment. So I think you've raised a lot of concerns in your testimony over the last couple of days, but the idea that the administration would put that kind of language out there to intimidate and scare people out of freedom of speech is something that is the most anti-American thing I've seen in a long time. Yield back.
Then I'll show you right here, Democratic Senator Gallego questioning another pick of Donald Trump, Charlton Allen, who's being picked to be general counsel on the Federal Labor Relations Authority. Let's take a look at what goes on here. Let's watch it.
Allen, in the 1990s, you founded a conservative campus publication called the Carolina Review. If you look behind me, you see the front cover of an edition of the Carolina Review depicting Aaron Nelson, a Jewish candidate for student body president. Your magazine altered Nelson's photo depicting him with the horns and a pitchfork. Inside the article says the difference between Aaron Nelson is simple. He's Jewish. Yes or no, Mr. Nelson, do you stand by this depiction?
Well, first of all, in terms...
Turn your mic on. Your mic.
Sorry. I'm Mr. Allen, not Mr. Nelson. But in terms of that cover, I would, if I were 30 years ago advocating for the review, I would say don't run that cover. I think it was a mistake. That said, if you look at full context of the article, you're taking a quote out of context.
Okay, so it may take the quote out of context, but that's not being taken out of context, right? The pitchfork with the horns?
Right.
Is that, right. Because that's kind of hard to get out of context.
In terms of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, our chief rival was the Blue Devils, still are the Blue Devils. And the cartoonist's intention was to make an analogy to that.
So everything happened was just a total coincidence that the Jewish candidate happened to have a pitchfork and horns, and that also at the same time inside the context, so the difference with Nelson is simple, he's Jewish, and the difference being between them and the Blue Devils. So the difference is that he is a Jewish versus a Blue Devil. Is that what your defense is?
No, sir. The point is this. Mr. Nelson voted not to fund a Christian group. He voted to fund the Jewish group. He voted to fund the pagan group. But on two separate times, he voted not to fund InterVarsity Christian Fellowship. And it raises a conflict of interest when he was a member of a group that he voted for.
You certainly remember in detail this incident in question for someone who wants to forget it. So do you stand by the statement that was made of that time period regarding Mr. Nelson then?
What statement are you referring
Well, I would say overall this anti-Semitic statement and depiction of this gentleman.
I would not say that it's anti-Semitic. We were the group that was calling for the equal treatment of all student religions.
So it's not anti-Semitic to say your difference with Nelson is simple. He's Jewish. The difference between a Blue Devil and Nelson is the fact that he's Jewish. You stand by that then?
The point was this. He voted for the Jewish group, and on two separate occasions, he voted.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe